this is Sudakshina. Welcome to HR Speak Season 4. We have among us Mr. Shutanu Chaudhary, CHRO, Spencer Retail. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Sudakshina. It's great to be here.
It's really a pleasure having you with us. First, let me start with the most common question which everybody of us faces. Tell me something about yourself. Might be your professional along with your personal.
Okay. So for me, it's been quite a long journey actually in professional, and of course, I would say a very exciting and eventful personal journey so far. So let me start with my personal journey, and then I'll come to the professional part. So I come from a small place called Hind Motors, which is the erstwhile Ambassador car factory where my father used to work. And so I was born there in the colony, and we used to go to school in Kolkata, because obviously there was no good schools there. So I studied from Don Bosco Park Circus for 12 years, same school. I think it's, nowadays the children go to so many schools, but those days, so that's been interesting, where we used to actually go from Hind Motor to Kolkata. So I used to remember catch the bus, which was the Hindustan Motors bus, at 6:30 in the morning, and then the school will be from 9 to about 5:30. And then again we will start, and I'll come 6:30. So it's a 12-hour, for us. But in that you have to learn, you have to, we used to play, and and of course made lifelong friends there. So after that I did my BCom honors from Goenka College, and then I was wondering what to do in life, and I didn't want to do a chartered accountancy. So I studied my ICWA, did my inter, and then I realized, no, I need to kind of prepare for my MBA. And my father's friend, he actually kind of was my guide and mentor. So I then landed up after my entrance exam at Xavier Institute of Social Service, Ranchi. So it's a 2-year MBA, way back in 91-93. So I think those 2 years, I think transformed me and many of us. Two things. One is those days there was no hostel, so you had to kind of stay in a PG kind of accommodation. And in Ranchi, though Ranchi produces a lot of electricity, but so we actually studied in kerosene, our 2 years of our MBA, practically. And then the Babri Masjids, riots happened in 92, and I think there was a lot of life learnings during those 2 years. Also the fact that my father had kind of retired after 2-3 years after I passed out, and there was the burden that I need to get a good job, etc. So I think those values, those systems taught by our parents always stayed with us in those 2 years which we did. And from a family, so I have a sister who is about 3.5 years old. Now she's settled she's married to a doctor in the Indian Navy, so settled in Delhi now currently, because they get posted here and there. And on the personal side, I met my wife at my institute, not my course, but 1 year junior she was. She used to do postgraduate diploma in computer applications. But the interesting part, I think, is we only got to know towards the end of our semesters. There was a common friend who introduced us. And then when I joined Siemens in Calcutta, and she got a job in Ranchi. So those days with no mobiles, nothing, and we used to do long distance calls. I think that is, for the young kids, I think it's like, golden days. So we'll wait for each other's call, and finally we got married in 96 in Kolkata. And I was working with Siemens, and then she was working with Orient Longman's software division. She was basically into computer programming. And after my second job, when I was in Coke, and then the daughters, I got twins in 2002, and now of course they are teenagers, and they're going to be soon 19. So it's been quite a I would say interesting journey of different things across. And so that's I would say my personal journey. I like sports, so I used to play football in my school, Don Bosco, representing. In fact, I played with Saurabh Ganguly, in St. Xavier's, though he was junior to me about, I think, 4-5 years. but I had the privilege because he was also into football those days,
Yes, those days, yeah.
before he turned to cricket. And now I kind of do a lot of cycling. I like cycling and badminton. These are two of my passionates. So I try to keep fit, over the years since I moved across the country. And yeah, I mean, whenever I have a chance, I go and teach in MBA institutes. Nowadays, of course, it's easy because it's digital and through Zoom or etc.
Mostly virtual,
So, yeah,
yeah.
mostly virtual. And yeah, I think year and a half back I have now located to Calcutta. So now let me start my talking about my professional
journey.
yeah. So it's been since I passed out in '93, it's been 28 years in the profession, and I know. So for me, it's not work actually, Sudakshina. It's passion and energy. That's what from day one when I joined Siemens in Little Russell Street, which is nearby. It's where I started my journey in Siemens, which was almost for 8 years, and I think lots to learn in that organization, which has helped me shaped my career in various ways, and it sort of became a family. And very recently when I came to Calcutta, actually the group who is all retired inducted me into the WhatsApp group, and so many memories came back. Those
homecoming.
it's like homecoming. After almost 19 and a half years been throughout. So over the years, then I had worked in various multinationals and Indian organizations, Taj, Mahindra Group, and before I moved to Calcutta, I used to work with Landmark Group, a format called Spar India, which is hypermarkets. So I was heading HR for them in Bangalore, and very, very, I would say, satisfying, because we had to turn around that organization, and bring energy, because being in a retail industry, I think getting people to, not just sell, but, connect with the customer. And for me, the first connect is our own employees, who's our primary customer, and then, connect with the larger consumers. So I think, so we had a 4.5 years of fantastic stint there, and then I moved to Calcutta last year as I take care of HR. I don't normally say CHRO because it looks like, okay, you're heading something and all. So I take care of HR. We are about 5,000 employees in Spencer's Retail Limited, as you know, is part of the RPSG group, and the group is so diversified, and the retail business is one of the oldest. It's about 30 years now, so we are present in almost 40 cities in India, primarily in East, in North, and in South. These are the three regions, and these 5,000 employees are across 165 stores across, and these stores are primarily daily formats, super formats, and hyper formats. For example, if you go to South City, that's the biggest format with about 60,000 square feet of trading area for customers to come and go. So my role, and I came during the pandemic, last year in June, and when I came in, I wanted I should not be just going to office. Those days only about 20-30% people were allowed because to maintain the safety, etc. and all. But I said, let me go to the stores. So I visited 3 stores. Unfortunately, I got COVID after I came back, and and I was staying with my parents. So I was slightly, so I kind of quarantined myself, and stayed in the guest house for about almost 25 days till I recovered. And but I think those 25 days I was reflecting, that this is something which is different, COVID, and unfortunately a lot of our employees, so I could empathize with them.
Yes.
So I think one of the first things was to have safety and awareness. That's what we focused on, and at least my role in terms of a lot of communication, and my team, I told them, this is, our employees are most important to maintain safety, because that will help once the lockdown kind of eased, and then the customers started coming. But I think the second part which we focused on is because there was employees coming, there was apprehension, there was a lot of cases in the family as well. So what we did was, we tied up. We have our own hospital, Woodlands, and with 3-4 doctors, and said whenever anyone, please have a online consultation with them. So that kind of, and it could be anywhere from the country. And gradually, then we also appointed doctors in other key locations, which was important. So I think this helped, and then we covered all our employees in a COVID policy.
That's really nice.
Yeah, so our MD said let's do it, and though it is not budgeted, but I think we owe it to the people, because they are our superheroes, and they have taken. We never allowed any of our stores to even close for a day or for a minute. So I think that kind of build a lot of building trust, and serving the customers, because we are in essential services, etc. So that was one. Secondly, I think what I did was a lot of connecting and coaching with our managers across, whether it is in corporate or region, and definitely the store managers, because they were the people. So me and my team and the leadership team, we all connected through town halls, we use basically WebEx and Zoom. These are the two platforms. To every fortnightly we used to connect and say, talk about what is happening in the organization, and be transparent. So that built the confidence in the organization. And the last thing I would say is training. Suddenly we felt that we can't do physical training because it's not easy for employees, to people to travel, etc. and all. So we had to quickly discover, and we worked on a platform for 3 months, and it was through our IT. It's a joint collaboration where we actually developed a e-learning system and built a lot of content especially for the stores, because we were introducing new products or new ways of, for example, when the customers were not allowed to come because of the lockdown, we had to reach the customer. Okay. So we had to develop an IVRS system where the customer will log in and order, say, 1 kilo of potato and 2 kilo tomato and other grocery items and all. So we had to overnight kind of train our employees to be telecallers and reach out, get the order. Then it is, you have to pick the order, sort it, and then deliver. So I think we quickly, in a couple of months time, we developed modules and trained our people to go and reach the customer basis the order, etc. So that was a huge, where we had to train up 4,000 for frontline, adapt to, so that was, so I think if I have to summarize the last 15-16 months, I think adaptability was the most important thing for us. Resilience, because we have to show empathy and resilience in whatever dealings, etc. we did across the organizations. A lot of communication, because I think without communication we would not have managed this. And I think last thing is taking care of employees. I think that's what we still keep doing. By care I mean genuinely care and listen to our employees. And in this midst we have got people who have really shown, and we have. So when I came in, I saw there was not much of internal movements, but now over the last 6 months, in stores, in our distribution centers, and in corporate, I think at least we have moved 50-60 careers internally and given them growth instead of hiring from outside. And I think that has developed a momentum, and I'm personally very happy that people have accepted and they are moving. And whenever I meet now, we are allowed 50% employees to come in corporate. Yesterday only I was discussing with someone who has moved into handling supply chain planning from operations, and I chatted him for almost 15-20 minutes, and he was so happy, saying now I'm doing this, and I take care of FMCG non-food and so many vendors I meet, and it's really exciting. So I was saying, yeah, wonderful. Just keep doing it. So I think the whole thing is about how do you emotionally connect.
Right.
So that's in a nutshell.
It's really nice with all the changes you have implemented in our organization. You have worked with in various locations with various organizations, so might be you could just touch on about the cultural differences and how did you manage these cultural differences?
Yeah, I think wonderful questions, Udakshina. And as I said, almost 8 years I was in Kolkata, and of course because I was born in Hind Motors and my entire schooling, college, 15 years has been in Kolkata, and then working 8 years. So because in Motors itself, it was a cosmopolitan. So my friends were all from, north, south, west. So somehow, though I'm a Bengali, but at home only we would speak, and because my mother was an MA in Bengali, so she made sure that we all, me and my sister, and my father never, because he's from UP. So he's a Probasi Bangali, that's, and then he came and actually learned, because he was handling employee relations throughout his career in Hindustan Motors, so he had to learn, there was no choice when he dealt with, unions like C2 and RSP and all. But for us, it was Hindi, then in a convent school you have to speak English. So I think, so you become, so you have to speak all the languages, So people sometimes still say, are you a Bengali? Because Chaudhary is like a, is a common. So in Haryana, aap to jati ho. So yeah, there is South. So then I had to explain, and then my name is very Bengali, Sutanu, Shutonu. So all those kind of, things happened. So that was my initiation into, because I had absorbed culture, while growing up in Motors, and of course, Kolkata itself, my first initiation when I dealt with unions or with managers who were very, very old, because I joined as a 24-year-old and I was managing two of my reportees, who one was 51-year-old and one was 46 years old, 25 years older. So how do I, make them, get into, those days it was personal management. So from personal management to human resource management for me was the journey for them, and from typewriter to make them learn computers, mouse, etc. So someone asked, what is a mouse? It's like a rat. I said no, this is something which is so, but I think they also were very sporty and kind of learnt, though the initial change and all resistance was there. So but once I moved to Coca-Cola in Gurgaon after 8 years, and I'd been once or twice to Gurgaon before that, and once, I think, not even twice. So it was kind of a shock seeing from a city which is, you are used to, and Gurgaon, those days there's nothing. I mean, so there is these buildings which is there, and I remember I was looking for a haircut because because I've joined and didn't have a time, but then I came back and got my wife to Gurgaon, and I was staying in the guest house. So I asked the guest house. He said, "Sir, aap seedhe chale jaiye." Then I was like walking 2 kilometers, and finally I could get a haircut salon. And the haircut, what it did, it was like so. So then you gradually get into saying so. So for me, there were two different things. One was Siemens, which was a German organization, very process oriented, very old organization. You learn. So I learned everything there. To an organization like Coke, which is one of the biggest brands, and my role was heading talent acquisition for the country, and we had taken over the Parle bottlers and kind of integrating into Coke system all the Parle's bottlers across the country, and so it was warfare actually. So way back in 2001. So one is adapting to a new city, and then American organization which was so fast that if you don't take a decision, then you are fired. So that was in the organization, and outside you have to deal with what you called cops who are very rough and tough. Generally the city is very aggressive, and I as a I've always been a soft person with I find I like to be humble and kind of so that was the first thing which probably that city and that organization taught me assertiveness, not aggressiveness but assertiveness, and I think I had great bosses who sort of told me, okay, you have come here, you have to learn, you have to grow, and you have to take your decisions, whether it is right or not, you don't know. So then I was transferred to Jamshedpur, which was a plant which was highly unionized, and but luckily I knew Jamshedpur because my uncle was a doctor there. So I got saying, okay, this is a different one, so let me get into. So I think my emotional connect and humility kind of helped to turn around that plant, and we signed a settlement. And I think in the year 2003 we did, like, the production was a record in the country, and we became one of the best plants from the worst plants in the country. So that was a great side. And incidentally, my daughters were born there, so it was managing, practically me and my wife were awake, for 6-7 months, signing a settlement, and the daughters growing up.
Kids, yeah.
Exactly. So from there, then in 2007, I moved to Bombay and headed HR for a company called Bunge India, which is a very old, originally European organization, and then became an American, and it's basically into agribusiness. And if you know, the Dalda brand was taken over, Dalda and Masterline, from Unilever by Bunge in 2006. So from Delhi, which was, I think, rough and tough, and you learn there is no road rules and all those things, to Bombay was a different experience. Though I used to go to Bombay, but then once I moved there, I think the first thing was initiation into rains, and you have to get acclimatized. Okay, so you have to carry sometimes your shoes and just walk on the street, because otherwise your shoe will be gone completely with the laptop hanging on the other side. But I think professionally, I was there in Bombay for 9 years, and kind of personally, professionally grew up with the family also, because the daughters were 4 years old. So I was in Bunge, which was a multinational, and lots of responsibility. I used to travel to Singapore because that was our headquarters. So going into the markets, because we were distributing Dalda oils into the markets, I think that's where I knew Bombay's, the mandis and the oil mandis and the customers who, the distributors who are buying. So, when I met our distribution partners, I mean, I felt that, yeah, they are also our, it's like they are selling a product, and it's one ecosystem. And I think Bombay, you get so used to that city, that I think that's what kind of endeared all of us into, and I personally felt it's one of the most cosmopolitan cities, where you get everyone, people from all parts of India, and internationally also, people working. But there is no kind of, okay, someone might have a BMW, but he never shows off. My neighbor actually had, because he and I would sometimes take the local train and go, because that was faster and convenient, because there was no metro that point of time. So I think the humility of the city, the resilience of the city, when the floods come and go, people rise to that occasion, in general.
So that's uniqueness about Bombay.
That is the uniqueness of Bombay. So when I joined Mahindra Logistics as head HR, and the group itself is the leaders are so humble, and I said, no, this is the value I also kind of create. And that's where I traveled across Maharashtra. One of the things which I made sure I learnt, though I can't speak still much better Marathi, but because I had to sign settlements, and I had gone into Nagpur, into Nasik, into Aurangabad, that when you get into the hinterland and meet many of your customers or your distributors or your there's so much to learn. And when you sit with a farmer and actually so one of the CSR projects we did was adopt 3 villages near Nasik, and over 3 years we adopted, and we said, just by giving money, I mean, you don't do, I don't believe in that, and neither my CEO, who believed in that. And after 3 years, when we saw that village which had no toilets, we made sure we made toilets, no good roads. Then we trained them in forklift driving, because in logistics you require forklifts for various operations. They used to drive autos and all, and maybe earn 2,000-3,000. And almost 20 people actually graduated after 6 months in an academy where we sponsored, and they trained, and they actually joined our in our roles in the customer premises. And I still remember the day when they graduated. There were tears in both our eyes actually, and they started earning 15,000, like 5-6 times. I think that is what transformation is, and I think probably that city taught about it. So I think many things, but I think these are some of the things which, at least personally, I liked about that city, that no matter who you are, you be someone, and you can connect with anyone. So for example, we had almost like 6,000 people used to call third-party employees or contract employees. And then when I visited, I said, no, please don't call them contract employees. They could be security, they could be doing our the forklift, or they could be just carrying the goods, or loading, unloading and stuff. So I coined a term called business associate, and then said, no, they are we are 4,000 employees, but they are also part of our So I think that kind of this, they like everyone has a name, and please call them a name. And that transformation took 2 years to build into the organization. But that I picked up because I would see in Bombay the dabbawalas, they are doing a job, or someone I met at the airport, and he's cleaning the and he might not speak English, but he said, good afternoon sir, please take the tissue paper and then have a nice flight. I was amazed. And he has been taught just these 2 things. So that's for me is, and now I see that in any city you go, you always will be able to these are the people who actually contribute to of course fantastic leaders I worked with, and both in HR as well as I always had dual reporting to a group HR and then to my MD CEO across this. And then finally I think the loop got completed when I moved to Bangalore. The difficult part was convincing my daughter and my wife, but my daughters, because they were 9 years in Bombay, and their schooling and all they had done, they had great friends and all. They were very upset with me actually, and in fact it took me 3 months 3 or 4 months before they moved to Bangalore. And the only thing I promised them, saying you will go to a great school from ICSE, will move to CBSE. That's a change for them because they moved to class 9. Okay. And but I think they finally got adopted to the city, and I think Bangalore, fantastic weather, so that's something which I still miss now with because I came into Calcutta back in the midst of humidity. It's a small city compared to Delhi definitely and Bombay, but a city of lakes which is reducing, but a city which is very greenery. I could see that a lot of parks are there. And what I saw, which I could connect, is people are very fit and healthy, So while Bombay, you work from say 7:38 and you land up coming back at 9:30. I think in Bangalore, people make it a point to come back by 7:30 and then have their gyms or do cycling. So I could connect back, and that's what I liked. I had to pick up the language again, Kannada, because again in retail if you have to connect with, so we had stores in Karnataka, in Andhra Pradesh that time, Telangana, etc. So even Tamil Nadu, so I had to pick up even Tamil, few words, etc. But that always helps me to connect. Bangalore, I think, is a very young city, and there is all these communities. So there is Bengalis, Odiyas, and everyone is and had their pockets, and it's a city which is not as fast as Bombay, but it has its own pace. I think the crowd, when you get into Whitefield and Electronic City, suddenly you see you are in IT country. So that kind of helped me to also put up some good systems and processes in SPAR, because I thought, why not, because, and I caught hold of some interns, and they did a great job of putting in HR some systems and analytics which we were developing. So every city has that uniqueness to catch and get off into that. And finally, I did able to buy a house there, because in Bombay it was impossible. So and then the journey started from Kolkata to Delhi to Bombay to Bangalore, and last year I'm back after 19.5 years, and I'm enjoying the sweets and the Bengali now cuisines, and of course at home, but in general you don't get to speak Bengali, so in SPAR I had one I think I had a pretty cosmopolitan team, which I made it a point. And so there was my head of learning and development. She was a Konkani married to a Bengali. So I started speaking in English, and then she started speaking perfect Bengali. I said, "How did you learn?" I said, "No, I've been married 15 years and I had to. My in-laws, there is no choice." so I said, "Yeah, hats off." I mean, and she, I think, speaks some 5 languages. So I think that was the cross-cultural learning, and for me, over these 28 years now, and I can't even believe myself that going into cities where I don't even know. So there is a city called Malaut in Punjab. When I visited sometime in 2006-07, and amazing hospitality and food. Then I went on a city like Sri Ganganang, which is on just the Pakistan border, is just 20-25 kilometers. In fact, we went actually. Then I got so badly stuck in a city called Namakkal in Tamil Nadu, where nobody speaks other than Tamil. And I actually had to call up my, one of my ex-employees and tell, please explain to the driver, because I had to go back to Chennai and catch a flight. Okay. because I just could not make him understand. But yeah, I mean, so many amazing stories, learnings.
So every city had its uniqueness, and the people. So in this HR domain, which is the favorite aspect you like to your heart?
That's a difficult question.
Still.
No, I think for me, my passion is honestly talent management. And I think for me, someone who we recruit, or there is a lot of effort which goes in terms of hiring the person who not only fits us, but he or she also has to see that this is the organization I want to kind of
He or she
fits in, because it's both ways. So the journey actually starts from there, and it could be a management trainee or a graduate trainee engineer, or it could be someone in the middle management or in the leadership. All do start their journey when join an organization. So while there is my team now that I'm heading HR for 14 years, so there is my talent acquisition team, and then my learning and development, and then my talent management, engagement, and my admin and employee relations. So obviously they are responsible for there, but all the dots has to be connected, because if the dots are not connected, then something will fall in place. And this I learned actually in my stint in Taj way back, where when you come as an outsider and just stay in the hotel and you check in and check out and get all that experience, but when you get inside, then you see how the value chain really works, and that actually stayed with me. So for me, I always try to connect with someone who is joined over that period, because that's the life cycle. We don't know how long the person, but the endeavor is the person should stay and make an effective contribution and grow in the organization. So the first thing is the onboarding and the induction, and I think that's the most critical piece in the first, I would say, 30 to 45 days. And many organizations I've seen miss that, So when I was in Coke, we developed, because we were going through culturally we have taken over parlays and a lot of employees, etc. So I was thinking, what kind of name we should give. And Coke short form is called KO. Actually, in our email, you have ko.com. So while brainstorming karte, then we said, okay, we gave the name OK for KO, and and that people so loved it, saying, when I onboarded, saying, yeah, I'm okay for KO. And so I kind of try and brand, and say that, okay, it sticks to people, and it could be for example, in Spencer's we have Parichay, and for anyone who they go through that 7 days of Parichay and gets, because the associate or the employee who comes should know that, okay, what kind of organization, what is my role in that organization. I think once that is done, I think that connects build. And then what we do is, after about 60 days and 90 days, we do surveys and say that, okay, what did you learn, what went well, what did not go well, and then both we take and again go back and say, okay, let's, if something is not gone not well, let's again see in that how do we improve that for the next, in the next and the next. So that's how the initial part of talent connect is very, very important. And then comes performance management, which again is very, very close to my and I have in various organizations seen performance management, and sometimes it becomes very routine, which is because I think it's a lifeline for an employee to understand what is those 5-6 KRAs, and now we call as OKRs, and but fundamentally it is my key result, and if I have to produce this key result, what are one or two things, indicators or results or metrics which is there. So I personally spend a lot of time to connect what's the organization goal with the functional and with the individual. Because here in Spencer's also, in the last 15 months, we have done like 15-20 workshops just to tell the leaders and the sub leaders that okay, this is what is so critical for you. So because if someone is knows that this is my role, all 20 things can't be you can't. So when you are kind of contributing to the function, there has to be only those 5-6 things which you need to, and for that what is the competencies, whether it is functional or behavioral. So that's what we kind of do, and every quarter we have kind of a session that okay, are you in the right direction, is there anything missing, or you've had a role change, etc. So performance management is, and then the last piece is the development and the career, because I sincerely believe that people have to move internally in the organization, and there is potential, and even if someone is 70-80% ready, we should be able to assess and give them that role, of course with the right development. And I think that has stayed with me, and in various organizations I always believe in not short-term development. So there's always a program where we develop for 3 months, 6 months and even 9 months, and it is like first you discover self, and then how do you, if you are a manager, then how you deal with teams, feedback, etc. And if you have discovered yourself, sometimes the Johari window, and you don't know yourself, and then so if you know yourself and then you work on your team and the dysfunctions, and then you can contribute to the organization. I think so that model is what I believe in training at any level, and that has given results. And then you get into career. So I believe that okay, if succession has to happen, you look at that position and then you measure your talent, saying okay, for example my position as a CHRO, and I have 6 reportees, how many people are ready? So for example, if 2 people are ready out of 6, so it is 2 by 6. So that's the percentage of people who are there, but maybe you need to 1 more person, because these people, someone could be ready, someone could be ready in 2-3 years, and someone could be in 4-5 years. So that's how you have to start kind of. And the final thing is, in my current role also I connect with my peers. So there are about 8-9 peers who report into the CEO, to kind of have conversations, have a lot of conflicts, but my role is to influence them, to give them, especially because they handle large teams, I coach them a lot to ensure that we retain the best people, and they become productive. So for me, talent management is not just key, there's a tick off. I think you have to work right from once they get into why, I mean before even to talk about the organization, and once they move careers, and that's where you feel this is the journey of this. So it's always been there, and here also I'm trying to do that, and it's still early days, but I hope we have moved some careers. It's right now small number, but we will do it. I believe in that a lot.
Great. So let us now know Mr. Chaudhary through a rapid round. Let us know him better through a rapid round. So for drinks, coffee or tea?
No, tea.
Assam or Darjeeling?
Oh, Darjeeling.
Great. Now let's go to movies. Hindi, Hollywood, Bollywood, rom-com or art films?
No, I would say art films. Okay.
In art films, Smita Patil or Dipti Naval?
Smita Patil.
Come to sports. You already said you love football. Still, I'll ask you, football or cricket?
Football, any day.
Okay. Whom do you prefer? Sunil Chhetri or Baichung Bhutia?
Slightly out of touch, but Baichung Bhutia, because I had followed him. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And come to travel, hills or beaches?
Hills,
Okay. In hills, sunrise or sunset? What do you like?
sunrise.
Great. So that was rocking and really hot. Now, if you could just give us two suggestions to the young HR aspirants who could implement in their work.
So I'll be brief actually. I think HR is a great actually profession, and I have loved every bit of it in the last 28 years I've been in. So what I tell two specific things to HR is I think in the initial years have that real experience of HR. I don't really recommend sit in a office and just do some analytics and paperwork. You have to dirty your hands, maybe work in a factory or work in the field, sales HR, know people, get to understand what's happening because as an HR, while you would have your subject of performance management or talent acquisition or talent management and engagement, and is the fact that you need to understand the business, because that's how you will start understanding and therefore be a strategic partner to business. So my first big suggestion is get your hands, feet and mind into the field and the initial years, because I can assure you, because that's what I've done, and it will and that's what you will not get in your MBA course, because you can go through case studies and role plays, but finally when you're on the field and your subject, you have to take decisions. Sometimes may go wrong, but I think every failure is a part of knowing better, and actually, so that's I think number one for an HR person to learn and grow. I think second, and which is very, very critical, and I call it as be fair and be firm, FNF, not full and final settlement.
Yeah.
But so because as HR, it's a very it's a role which you will be able to contribute a lot if you have this balance. So you have to be fair, you have to be empathetic, you have to be humble in various situations of dealing with whether it's your own boss or other leaders or peers, or because the aspirations of employees, etc. is sometimes you have to be firm, because you have to hold on to certain things and values where people might go overboard, etc. So that's where your role comes, where you have to influence, and that will happen through dealing with various situations and interactions, and because sometimes your boss or your other peers would look up to saying, okay, you're dealing with people, you're not dealing with something which doesn't have emotion. You have to deal with people who has emotion. So how do you be fair but firm also in that kind of situations? I think the being objective, having alternative solutions and connecting emotionally with employees is the job of HR, I think. So I think these two is what at least I have, though I failed a lot and a lot of hurdles, but I think you go through them. Yeah.
Okay, that was really nice suggestions for the HR. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your insight, experiences. We had a wonderful time talking with you.
Thank you, Sudakshina.
Sure, you all have learned a lot after hearing Mr. Chaudhary about his experiences, his insights, his suggestions. I'm sure you all will take his suggestions and take it forward. So here I'm signing off. Please share this with your friends, colleagues, so that they can learn from him and implement them in their work. Thank you.